The biggest mistake I made in my business was not hiring a professional to help me with my money. Not just my taxes, but the actual plan I had for my business. I was completely lost on how to handle taxes, what to do with profit, and how to maintain my income. I had to find a better way. That's when I found Core Financial. Core Financial is a team of tax professionals that actually care about building real relationships with their clients. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all of my tax benefits. Are you struggling with your finances? Look no further. Core Financial is a brand that is nationwide that can help you with your business. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core, and they can help you too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to schedule a consultation today. Core Financial, real relationships, no surprises.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller. John will not be joining you for this week's episode of the podcast. He has been so busy with all these weddings that he's filming. He was in South Carolina and then Oklahoma City, and I think he's on his way to Dallas or just got back from Dallas or something like that. So I decided to take the driver's seat on this week's podcast. I had my good friend Ashley Akin of K&B. They're a photography company here in Wichita, Kansas. Jen and I had the opportunity to film her wedding a week before COVID shut down the world. And I wanted to have her on the podcast and talk about what it has been like as a wedding vendor, as a wedding professional since she had her wedding. And so we dive into all the things, how she is treating her couples differently, the things that she's thinking about, how she's doing her consultations a little bit differently now after being a bride and also a wedding vendor. So that is this week's episode of the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this conversation with Ashley Akin of K&B. Ashley, it is so great to hang out with you today on the podcast. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm very, very excited to be here. I was really honored whenever you reached out and asked me to join you today. I'm pumped.
Well, good. Thank you for coming on. As you know, we are a wedding video podcast. You are a professional photographer. So the likelihood of people knowing who you are is,
Slim,
probably.
I'm in the world where people are like, who is she?
Yeah. So why don't you just take a minute and share with us, who you are, what you do, how long you've been in this industry and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Ashley Akin. I co-own K&B, and we are a wedding photography company. We started our business back in 2013, so over 8 years ago, and we exclusively started doing weddings in I think it was 2016 or 2017 was when we completely jumped ship from everything else we were taking on and decided that we were going to make wedding photography be the end all be all. And it's been really fun. It was a challenge, but it's been great.
Yeah. And you guys are really talented. You are really good at what you do. Jen and I say all the time whenever we're on a wedding day, because we get the perspective of working with lots of different photographers. Like you get the perspective of, working with different video people. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times when we're on a wedding day, we say, man, this photo person needs to shadow the Ashleys on a wedding day, just with how you interact with your couples and how you're upbeat and fun and high energy and all that stuff. So anyway, we really like working with you guys. You're the local people that we always refer. Always. Hands down.
Yes. Well, it's been a minute since we've been together. I'm ready for our next wedding together. We just have this really great dynamic. It's probably just years and years of working together, but high energy. I mean, I get the video perspective where I see all the videographers and I'm like, I wish they weren't doing this, or, I love that they're doing this, but I kind of wish we could trade places so I could see the way that photographers are doing things. But I think being that high energy person is important for hyping up that wedding party. I wish more people would take a note from that.
For sure. And we could, I'm sure, spend a lot of time, talking about the relationship between photo and video. Maybe we can do that another time or something like that. We have worked together, I don't know, a ton over the last, I don't know, 6 years, 5 years, something like that. So many weddings that we've done together. But I wanted to bring Ashley on today because about a year, it was the weekend before the world imploded on itself. Yeah. Jen and I had the opportunity to film Ashley and her husband Justin's wedding. It was really cool experience. To this day, it's one of our favorite videos that we have put together. And as I was talking to John about this, as you can tell, he's not here. He's been super busy, so I told him he could take the week off. It would be a neat opportunity maybe to talk to a wedding professional that recently got married and just their experience with being a vendor and then being a bride and now being a vendor again, and how that stuff has impacted their business. And so why don't you, if you can remember, I know it's been a little bit of time, can you maybe, what are some initial thoughts that you have when I ask this question, now, what is your perspective, since you're, a photographer, what is your perspective of the wedding since you got married? Has that shifted? Has that changed?
Of the wedding or of my business? The wedding?
I don't know. What was I asking you? As a business owner, as a wedding vendor, since going through the process of being a bride, now that you're a wedding vendor, is there initial things that have drastically changed, or thought processes or whatever, since you have gone through that experience? Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of mindset shifts that happened after I got married were initially it was even though I have seen more than 400 people get married, witnessed more than 400 people get married, I feel like prior to getting married, I would go through the day I know exactly what's going to, because you do, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know when they're going to smile. I know when they're going to clap. I know when they're going to hug. All these things that you anticipate happening before they happen. I know that stuff, but I feel like prior to getting married, I lost the heart of to me it was oh, people do this all the time, it's good, you're gonna be fine, but it gave me that rebirth, I guess, of it's my first time, and now being able to look at wedding days, going into a wedding day, that's a new perspective that I have consistently. It's yes, these people are going to embrace for the first time, and yes, I know it's their first time and I've always known it, but really understanding that this is their first time they are ever experience any of these moments. And even from seeing mom for the first time, or doing the dad's first look, how many times have we done a dad's reveal and dad turns around and it's very staged and choreographed, but for them there's this tunnel vision. And even though you feel sometimes you're staging things, as long as you can stage it in a way, and I did this, you as my videographer, I made this very clear that I wanted things to feel as natural as possible. But what I didn't know prior to getting married is you really do have tunnel vision. Nothing else going on around you matters. It's this crazy tunnel vision. Anyways, so that was a new mindset, is this, the way that they're experiencing the day, it's their first time. It's probably a lot of times their only time. So that was different and a shift. So walking into the wedding day, I now have a new appreciation, which I feel I didn't realize I needed or wanted. So there's that. But then also from just a vendor perspective with a client relationship, being on that other end, I realized how frustrating it is that vendors don't respond. And I feel I was really bad about not responding when a client would say something, or even, here's another example that I am thinking of right now. When someone tags me in something in Instagram, I may not reshare it just out of kind of just laziness from, we're vendors, we're living lives, but they're really excited, because they're tagging you. And when you reshare them, or if you share their day in general, every time, Nick, that you share my video somewhere, I get excited, like, because it's my wedding. Like, even though it's your marketing, like, I get really excited that you think my wedding is cool enough to share. Like, there's that really cool perspective of like, answer when they message you, like, be hype about what they are hype about. That's another thing we've done. Oh my gosh, this is making me remember a bunch of things. So
good.
We also have started developing relationships with our clients deeper than I feel like prior to getting married. And now that we're a little bit past like the COVID drama, like the heat of it, we now try to nurture, we call it nurturing our couples. So we have like a spreadsheet of all of our couples listed and their Instagram handles, and daily, which sounds annoying, but we'll just like copy it from the spreadsheet. iPhones are really cool because if you copy something on your Mac and like paste it, you can paste it on your iPhone. It's very cool. So I'll copy that cell with their Instagram handle and then I'll paste it on my phone, and I will go just check and see if they have any updates, if they've posted any stories, if they've shared a new post, and then engage with them. And so they feel truly like not just another couple, not just another number. They feel like you really care and like their money is going farther and you're paying attention to them. And so that's something that we've started doing, because that's something that I realized that I really appreciated was when, as a bride, people like my vendors did that with me too. It made me feel special.
Yeah,
That's I can think of off the top of my head.
No, that's good. That's good. Let me ask you this question. I actually just had a consult. I just had a consult with a bride who is a photographer. And, we were talking and she was like, thank you so much for treating me like a bride, because I'm contacting all these other wedding vendors and they're like, oh, you're in the industry, you get it. We normally we would do a consultation, but we don't. And I think I actually did that with you. Sorry. But, like
we are friends.
Yeah. Not giving you the experience that maybe you had hoped or wanted. And so did you have that experience? And two, is there any advice or thing that you can give, or what do you have to say on that?
Yeah. So I'm like yesing you as you're saying these things. Like, I totally agree with you. I agree with her. There's this, like, I notice it even when like friends, I can relate that really well when I have friends that are getting married. And because I have a business partner, my business partner is also named Ashley. Ashley will be shooting the wedding and I'm in it or attending it and try to be present. But I still try to give my friends the full experience. Like, just because you're my friend doesn't mean that I want you to feel cheated. Like, you deserve to also feel like a bride. Did I feel that? No, but I think maybe I would have had my engagement period not been so short. Like, I think I had like 3 or 4 months before we actually had our wedding from the time that we got engaged. So I didn't have like time to feel nurtured or cared for. We didn't like, I think I sent you a message and I was like, hey, like, I don't know if you want to do this.
Yeah.
And it made sense for us not to do like that formal, you treat me like a full bride just because we are friends. But I think I might have felt that. I know that I wanted to. Okay, so let me back up. Before I got engaged, I had reached out to a couple of people, and I remember talking to you about it, Nick, about I don't know who I'm going to have as my photographer. I have a couple people in mind. And people, when they would ask me, my response was never, they were like, is Ashley going to shoot your wedding? And I always said no, which then she did. But I always said no, she's not going to shoot my wedding. Like, I want her to be present. And the reason that I also wanted to hire somebody that I didn't know was because I wanted to feel like a bride. Like, I didn't want that vendor. Like, I don't want to know the behind the scenes. I don't want to know what's happening, like that the cake is screwed up or whatever, which I didn't end up doing any of that. But yeah. So I do know that like that's something everybody wants, that full experience. Like, even I did things really weird. Like, I really did have my wedding was very different. Especially for the time. I feel like it's kind of normalized now, but yeah, it's important to put your brides at this like experience level. They're paying a premium a lot of the time, and making sure that like everybody has this consistent experience, but also to a point where I feel like I fell short prior to getting married, is that I gave them a very consistent experience. And because of that, I didn't like nurture the relationship. I just like put them, through the pipeline, and like in they came and out they went. And I remember prior to getting married, I used to think like, I just feel like there's no heart behind the relationship. It's like I deliver a, stellar product, and I know that I can serve them and I can make them feel really comfortable and confident the day of. And then it's like once the wedding day's over, that's where things kind of fell flat too. So we're also like incorporating gifting a lot more, and like even from taking gifts with us to the wedding and like, dropping a little card in their thank you or like their card box, like just kind of little surprises so they can just feel special and feel not like another number.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that we work so hard in our businesses, with being efficient in our time, or that seems to be the goal of a lot of people, is I don't want to waste time doing this. And it's really easy, using the CRM that we use, like Honeybook, or, whatever you use, to just like have these template emails that go out 6 months beforehand, 3 months beforehand, like all that kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, we're good. Like I'm communicating with them, I'm talking with them, but
they're taken care of.
They're taken care of. But you're saying that something that has shifted because of your wedding is you love when people are organized, and, you're going to continue, but you felt that maybe there was a little bit of personality or getting to know you connection that was missed in that. And so that's really where you have started spending more of your time. Yes, it does sound kind of overwhelming, to daily check in on all of my couples on Instagram, or, and make sure that they're talked to or whatever. But those are the kind of things that really make people love you and your work and stuff. One thing John and I say on our podcast all the time is treat your couples in a way so that they love their video before they've even seen one frame of it. Oh my
God. Yes. Yeah, it's like those when you leave a wedding day and they're like, "You did such a good job," and those like,
how do you know?
Thing. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I could really suck. Like, I'm glad you like, but that's something that we tell ourselves, or I remind Justin. Justin shoots with me a lot now. I always tell him like, people remember the way you made them feel. Like you could deliver the most beautiful wedding film of all time, but if you made them feel like shit, they're going to instantly like have this weird feeling around watching that, and a little bit of like maybe resentment, and like you want them to preach to the choir. Like you might not even deliver a stellar wedding film, right? You might deliver like kind of an average. It's like, it's okay. Like that happens to all of us. Like we'll have really great days, and some days that it's like, well, I mean, I delivered it. It's not amazing, but it's their day.
Right.
But they having this good experience with you make them feel taken care of and warm and safe, and you make them feel like their wedding is worthy. That is what's going to speak volumes. That is what they're going to refer you to their friends for. Like those are the things that are going to make them your biggest cheerleaders, is because they also feel like you're a cheerleader of them. So with like this nurturing and putting them in this spreadsheet, which sounds very redundant and very lame, I very much know. But in doing that, the regular world doesn't post on social media daily. Like they just don't. So when you copy that URL or their handle and then paste it into Instagram, very rarely, like I might leave like 5 comments and I'm commenting on, or I'm checking like 50 people. It takes like 30 minutes, but it's 30 minutes of checking and like nurturing and make them feel worthy. Because a lot of them, especially like if you're doing a lot of like trendy weddings and like posting a lot of really cool weddings, there are people that say to me, and I've like had them on my podcast, where they're saying, I don't feel like I'm cool enough for you. And like, I don't want anybody to ever feel like their wedding isn't cool enough. You know what I mean? And so like making them feel consistently like they are good enough, show up as you are, like the way that you guys are is perfect,
Yeah, that's really It's really good. I'm glad that, that's one thing that you have taken from your overall experience. And so have you changed maybe how you maybe do like initial contact, or people, someone inquires with you guys. Have you changed how you respond to emails and how you do that stuff based on you going through and finding vendors and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So this is kind of a more recent change, but it all comes from this heart of wanting to feel like wanting them to not feel like a number. But with COVID and the nightmare of that immediately after my wedding, I feel like now I'm putting these things in play and figuring out how to do that. And something that we've done that we've seen a major impact in the way that people are receiving our information is we, first of all, pretty much send our pricing immediately, like we do. So if they inquire, their pricing comes automatically. And it also comes with a link that's like, check your availability here. And we have our availability in Google Sheets, and I keep that. Also, it's very pretty calendar, but if you click on that link, they can see if I'm available or not, and then they can click on pricing and set up a call, all from this like one email. And then, so they get that initially and they're like, cool, pricing, awesome. And some people may be like, okay, that's too much out of my price point. And then some people are like, okay, now what? Or they look it over, they forget. So whenever I look at the inquiry, which I check my inquiries every day, I will send them a text, and I send them a text from a Google Voice number because I don't want them to have my number, because that's like my space, my personal protection.
Sure.
I don't like my phone anyways. Nick, you know that. I'm like the worst texter on the face of the planet, but
she's pretty bad.
I have it's so awful. I have a text from Jen, your wife right now, and I like need to get to it, but I haven't even listened. Anyways, awful texter. But so I have Google Voice on my phone. I have the app. It's free. And what that allows me to do is shoot them a text and be like, hey, I got your inquiry. Our email was sent. Like, I hope you got it. Sometimes they're going to spam because, that's a whole thing right now is everything is going to spam. So I just check in with them, let them know their pricing was sent. We're available. I'm really excited. And it allows me to have that personal connection where they don't feel like I'm just they're just a number. Like they can feel like I'm a person, they're a person. And like, I send emojis. There's like a little bit of a personality there, the way that we text. And that's been really game changing because people have said like, your response is automatic. Like I'm not waiting around for you. You're guiding me through, kind of holding my hand on what to do next. Because even in that email where I send the pricing, the check your availability and schedule a consultation call, that's a lot of options for them. Like that's a lot of information. So
sure.
In touching base with them, and I do it via text because text is also quick. I can be like, we're available. They're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. What do I do next? And to me, I'm like, I already sent that to you in their email, but they're overwhelmed. So I'm like, well, do you want to get on a call? Blah, blah, blah. So we've booked so many people since making that change just because they feel the immediate satisfaction and gratification of those quick text messages. They don't have to open up their Gmail. They don't have to live in a place that's not familiar, So that's been really cool. That's been a change in our consultation process. We still don't require everybody to do a consultation because it's just some people are busy. Some people don't want to. And if they don't want to, I'm not going to make them. But I know that that's kind of like a world where some people require them and we don't. But
yeah. So would you say that you started implementing that process? Does that really stem from whenever you would contact vendors and they would respond to you, but it wasn't in a timely manner, or you felt overwhelmed whenever they would give you information? Is that kind of where that came from?
It came from the place of when I was getting married and I'd ask for pricing. They would send it to me and then I would get in a state of okay, now I need to compare all of these things and I'll just get back to it later, right? That's the thought that's going through my head. I'll just get back to it later. I need to go to bed, work tomorrow. I'll revisit it. And then I forget to revisit it. Or life gets in the way, or I have 6 different venues sending me their pricing information, and then maybe I respond to them and no one's responding back quickly. And a lot of times it's just like a headache trying to get everybody's information at once. And so that immediate gratification and satisfaction. Also, this is not from a bride perspective. This is from a photographer reaching out to someone to do a like mentoring type thing. Like I really wanted to hire this person for mentoring, and I like highly known, everybody knows this person, everyone loves this person, everyone loves this person's presets, like all the things. And I could not for the life of me get a hold of them. Like I sent 3 inquiries, I sent a message on Instagram, and they're like promoting it, but they're not responding. And it's just like, I think the quicker that you can get to somebody, they are ready to book. Like they're in that zone at that point. And if I work this way, I work in a focused mindset, I guess. Like my mind, when I'm focused, I am focused. When I'm not, and I'm not working in that world of, okay, I'm planning my wedding, and now I'm working in my world of I'm working. I don't do any wedding planning stuff. I'm not ready anymore. And so if you can get them immediately, they're ready to pay immediately, you know? So doing that texting switch where I still email them, but I also text them to do things quickly, they're ready to book because they're in that mode. They're in that zone. You'd want to get them when they're in that zone.
Yeah. I think that's...
I feel like I just got real passionate about this.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. That's why I had you on here. You were passionate about all this stuff, and I can really tell. I love this conversation that we're having. You're giving lots of information. Hopefully you listener out there are writing notes on, just how you're treating your couples, especially, getting up to the wedding and that connection that you're having with them and responding to them and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to continue this conversation with Ashley right after this break. What would you take on if you had an extra set of hands? What would you do with your free time if you didn't have to edit? So many of us get bogged down in the post-production hustle that we never seem time to focus on our business. John and I both felt that way until we found Wedditor. Wedditor is a post-production team of top wedding film editors and project managers that give your films and brand the extra eyes, ears, and hands that they need. Not only is Wedditor delivering films we love to our couples faster, but we can invest ourselves fully in other areas of our business knowing that Wedditor has our back. Be the first to know how your second shooters are doing, how those new LUTs work with your footage, and relax knowing your couples are getting the full attention they deserve on every single project. So what could you do with an extra hand? Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor, whether you're ready to start now or preparing for next season. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. If you're interested in this service, make sure you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor soon. Fall 2020 spots are lined up and filling up fast. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed.
All right, we are back from break with Ashley Akin of K&B. Do you just go by K&B? Is it Studios, Photo, or is it just K&B?
It's just K&B, but whenever you were asking me at the beginning of the episode, I had to introduce myself. I almost said K&B Studios, but no. Yeah, not Studios. I don't know what made us so, I was just like, I don't know, we don't have studios. It sounded cool back in 2013, but yeah, it's weird. I go through all of these, should we change our name? But no, I'm not going to. But I want to, but we're not going to.
Okay, so we are back with Ashley of K&B. She is one half of a amazing photography team here in Wichita, Kansas, and we're talking about everything that Ashley learned from planning her own wedding. We're gonna jump back into this conversation, and I want you to talk maybe a little bit as a vendor. How are you approaching the wedding day itself? Like, have your thoughts of maybe what's important on a wedding day or your approach of the wedding day, has that changed, especially since you have had one? Well, that's what we're talking about. You get the question.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it has changed. There is a photography workshop retreat situation called All You Witness. And Ashley actually went to All You Witness prior to my wedding. And so we adopted some of these ideas that like a wedding, like we're not shooting a wedding for our portfolio. We're shooting a wedding to witness it. Like we are witnessing it. We are not interjecting ourselves within it. That's kind of their idea. And they go more extreme than we do. But after having my wedding, and I kind of instilled this around you from shooting my wedding too, and Ashley, and I was like, I just really don't want to be pulled away or directed or things to be like, I'd rather things be imperfect than perfect so that like I'm living in the day. And I still live that. Like, so as I'm shooting, I try to remember that too, because on my wedding day, you guys really didn't talk to me in a way like, I'm going to have you stand here. I'm going to have you do this. Like, even in the video that you share, like my first look video, like that's like my favorite memory besides sharing our vows. But some of my favorite things about the video itself is like the natural panning of like, I'm quickly switching from you to Justin in a way that's not cinematically perfect, probably at all. Like, I don't know if you would do this anymore, but like it's not cinematically perfect. And that's what I love about it, is like it feels like a home movie. It feels real. There's times that I can see, like in my wedding photos, there's a ceremony photo and you're in it. And I think it's like might even still be my Facebook cover photo maybe. And you're in it. And I love that because you're part of it. And not making things so perfect, because from my memory and my perspective, it wasn't. Like, it's kind of, a wedding day is like this beautiful chaos. And as vendors, we try to make it look like it wasn't chaotic. And while I still do that, because a lot of couples want that, but I do a healthy mix. Like, I'm going to give and deliver those imperfect images. Some of my favorite images from my gallery, which also a whole nother thing, but I like love my video and I love my pictures, but like I love my video 5 million times more than I love my pictures. And my pictures are great. I just like cherish the shit out of my video. I love it so much. So kudos. But Nick, dang it, I went on like kudos rant.
That quote can go on my website now. Anyways.
Yeah, but I went on a rant and I was going to say something really important, and now I just went on talking about how Nick's amazing. What was I talking about?
You can keep talking about how amazing I am. Yeah, that's fine.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about a healthy mix of
my favorite photos.
Yes, your favorite photos.
My favorite photos are from my rehearsal dinner day, and Ashley was just there for my rehearsal dinner. We had pizza, and like nobody was dressed up. And also for my wedding day, like at the party part afterwards, like my mom is in like jeans because she changed, and
like everyone changed. Like we hung around for that part, and like everyone changed in just like their street clothes except for you and Justin, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much except Justin and I. And those are some of my favorite pictures because it felt like real life. Like that was really what was happening. It wasn't this production. It wasn't like, it didn't have to be picture perfect. I didn't put this pressure for it needs to look or be or just any type of way. I feel like the only thing that I got kind of like Bridezilla-y on, and I don't even think it wasn't even the day of, it was like a couple days before the weather like took a major downturn and it was like freakishly cold. And I was bummed because then I'd gotten my heart set on having the ceremony outside. And so like that part sucked, but I recentered myself and I was like, Ashley, who cares? Like, that's not why you're having a wedding. It's for the weather. But anyways, those are some of my favorite pictures, are the ones where people are in their street clothes. Like, they're not looking perfect because they don't wear robes in real life. Why am I going to make them dress up and wear robes on the wedding day? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So another thing that I've done from a business perspective is try to empower and instill throughout all of our like language and verbiage and copy that your wedding day can be however like you truly want it to be. Like, it doesn't have to be this picture perfect day. Like, that's not why you're getting married. And I talk a lot about like your why. Like, what is your why? Why are you celebrating with a wedding? Because you don't have to. You're choosing to. So why is that? And kind of along that same vein, it was just a beautiful thing for me to like see people hanging out on the couch in their regular clothes, like just casually, just like being themselves and not making and putting pressure on people to be something they're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what your question was, but I feel very strongly about that. Do you remember what your question was?
Yeah, well, I just how maybe your approach on a wedding day has shifted or changed as a vendor now that you have gone through getting married. But I think you answered that really, you did answer that really well. And I really like what you said. I remember there was this one video that we were editing together, and there was this shot that I would say was like a perfect embodiment of the wedding day, but it was a little out of focus and I didn't have good audio. It was just on camera audio. And I was like, even though it's like perfect, I can't use it because it's not a good, quote unquote, good shot, quote unquote. Right? Right. And as I'm talking to my genius wife who is wise beyond her years and all that stuff, she's like, no, you have to include that, Nick. Like, we have to put, and I was like, but it'll mess up, it'll mess up the video. And she's like, who is the video for? And don't you think that they would want that moment? And I'm like, yeah. And so since like that moment, I am now way more open to including things that are messy and not classically clean, because we really want to get into, sharing the wedding day story, sharing the couple's story. And if that means that it was, this beautiful chaos or however you said that, we need to show that. Yes, our job as professionals is to make things look as nice and as good as we can. Like, that's what they're hiring us for. But we also shouldn't be trying to turn it into something that it's not. And I think that so many of us... I think
it's easy to get lost in that.
Yes. And we, as being on this side, I think when you first get started out, you are way more concerned with what Sally Photo down the street thinks of your photos than you are with Jessica, your bride. Same with our video. Like, I'm way more concerned about, this video company down the street, what they think of my work rather than what my couples think of our work. And that's been a major shift in really treating our couples well, is being like, okay, I am making this video that Justin and Ashley want for Justin and Ashley. And if other people like it, cool. But I didn't do it for other people. I did it for you guys.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Good point.
And ignoring any potential naysayers. And I don't know like where that comes from. Like, maybe you're thinking people will judge you when you post it, but like, so you posted our video, which you always do, on YouTube. And one day I decided to look at the comments, and people are great generally, but there was one Joe Schmo who decided to like harp on the fact that Justin called me a smoke show. It like made me so mad. But then Justin called me a smoke show because he's my husband, and we like, there's nothing freaking wrong with it. And so like, that's like the thing, like, he didn't say those things for other people. Like, he said them for me,
Right.
Anyways, you can't focus on what everybody else is doing or what everybody else is saying.
Man, YouTube is an amazing place. I just posted this video not too long ago, and the bride had this really crazy tattoo on her shoulder. It looked really nice. But this one guy commented, and he was like, having a woman with tattoo is like putting a bumper sticker on a Lamborghini. And I'm like, delete, but I'm like, why?
Dude, none of your business. She does not deserve to see that.
Who are these people that are just like, oh, I have nothing better to do. Let me just bag on people on the internet. Anyway, people are ridiculous. Seriously.
People
Sorry that
people suck, but
someone did that to you. So
smoke show. It's okay. Yeah, who cares?
Right. So it sounds like, you have definitely changed how you're thinking in your approach as a wedding vendor to weddings. And I think something really cool. Did I lose you? Are you there? Are you still there? Look like you froze for a second.
No, I'm
Okay.
here, and you're smooth as butter. I'm here. My internet, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So because of this journey that you have had as a bride, and I know you got really into intentional planning when it came to your wedding, something that has fallen out of that is you have started a podcast specifically for people, engaged couples getting married. And while the How to Film Weddings listeners might not necessarily your podcast is not intended for them, but all of our wedding filmmakers have couples that your podcast could definitely reach and could definitely help them as they're planning their wedding. Right? Yeah.
100%.
So why don't you just take a minute and talk about this podcast, and you can push it, and we'll put it in the notes and stuff.
Yeah. So this podcast was born basically because we see, and we all can agree, like everybody listening, Nick, couples get so caught up in like the perfect, and they also can be very stressed out. Like, and they also feel on another vein, like, why am I stressed out about something so material or something? It just seems so trivial for me to just be so caught up in this when there are so many other things going on in the world. And like, while true, it's also still happening to them. Like, they're also still stressed the heck out. They feel alone. They feel like they can't talk to anybody because it's like a materialistic, like taboo, like, oh, you're complaining about your wedding. Like, I am, I'm in the middle of buying a house. I don't care about your wedding or whatever. They don't feel like they have somebody to talk to, and they don't feel understood. And they also watch all of their friends, all these people on the internet, YouTube, Instagram, look like they're having a grand old time planning their wedding. When in reality, planning weddings suck. And you have to make family decisions. You have to make guest count decisions. You have to decide, who am I not inviting? What drama am I going to create? Am I going to fight with my mother-in-law? Like, all these things are happening to them, and nobody talks about it. So we talk about it, and we talk about basically like mental health surrounding wedding planning, and why determining, I mentioned it earlier, why you're celebrating your wedding why you're celebrating your marriage with a wedding is important, and determining that early. Just basically, like, we want to instill and empower couples to feel like they can incorporate heart and intention into their weddings. You don't have to walk down the aisle with your dad if you don't want to. Like, I didn't walk down the aisle with my dad. A lot of this started because of my wedding. I love my dad, like, to freaking pieces, but it didn't feel like the tradition made sense for us because my dad wasn't really giving me away. We've been dating for 6-7 years. And so we chose to walk in together, and we honored my parents in different ways. And so we want to empower couples, and the goal of our podcast is to empower couples to make similar decisions so that their wedding isn't just a template where, as vendors, we look at these weddings. I feel like I could swap a bride and a groom with any other bride and groom, and the wedding day is like exactly the same. How can we incorporate more heart? How can we incorporate more intention? And so we talk a ton about all that. And it's called the Bridal Breakdown. I just realized I didn't say that. It's called the Bridal Breakdown. You can find
that was
it
my next
anywhere
question.
Yeah, we were getting there. So it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the things. And we have an Instagram, the Bridal Breakdown. I'm not like super great about getting on that Instagram right now because I'm dealing with a lot of other things like adopting this dog and, all the things. But I highly suggest you send it to your couples because they will find it helpful.
And as as we were talking a little bit earlier about, we have these processes and these emails that we send out and that sort of stuff. This is, I think, the kind of thing that you say, hey, here is a resource that I believe will help you in the planning process and also kind of set you up so that you can have meaningful and valuable conversations with your spouse, with, who you're engaged to, or your family or whoever. You can have these meaningful conversations leading up to it, and it will, they might be tough conversations, but they will help you in the long run because you are getting it out there and you are talking about that. And that's just one of those things of connection where you'd be like, here is a resource that I know will help you as someone that has been in the industry who, Jen and I have shot, 250 weddings. We've seen it all. Like, we know all of this stuff. And here is some information that will help you. And that's just one of those connection things that will make your couples love your work before they see any of your work. You're taking a vested interest.
Yes.
I heard this. I have followed this podcast for a while. It is going to help you. So that is the Bridal Breakdown podcast, and it's on wherever you get podcasts. So you can listen to that after you're done listening to this one.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, we've been chatting for quite a bit. It has been incredible to hang out with you for the last hour or so. If, people just want to follow your photography work or, see what great work that you do, where can they find you there?
Yeah. So on Instagram, you can find us at KXB Photo. It's KAYXBEE Photo. And that is pretty much where you can find us is KXB Photo on Instagram.
Yeah. Right now, Ashley's business partner, Ashley, has been putting together some amazing Insta stories and reels. Like, I laugh at her.
Isn't she hilarious?
She's so funny. She's really funny.
Like, she's literally the most entertaining. Every time I walk into a room and I just hear whoever I'm walking into their house, they're watching Ashley on Instagram. Like, she is so comical. She deserves for more people to encourage the crap out of her.
Yes. So all of you go over and check out KXB Photo on Instagram and also the Bridal Breakdown. I think it's just at Bridal Breakdown on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Is that right?
It's the Bridal.
The Bridal Breakdown. Yeah. So again, Ashley, it has been great hanging out with you. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast this week. If you are interested in Ashley's podcast, The Bridal Breakdown, just go over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can find The Bridal Breakdown. This is going to be a great resource for your couples as they are planning their weddings. Speaking of weddings, it is full on wedding season, and we want you to check out our posing guide. Just go to howtofilmweddings.com. There in our store, you can get our posing guide. It is 20 poses that John and I have put together to help you during that golden hour sessions that you have on your wedding days. It is our favorite poses. It's about 45 minutes. There's also a PDF included where you can keep those poses with you on your phone and then implement them on the wedding day. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode of the podcast. And until next time,
Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at WedFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. WedFlow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, WedFlow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples. Accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/wedflow to check out Wedflow today.